I was thinking we should get rid of Scott.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, it took forever for John just to find Scott in the first place. If anything happens to Scott, John will be evicted, and who knows what'll happen to the two of us.
So? Looks at us. We're breaking like shitty Mega Block spin-offs. Do you really want to spend your last moments here until your limbs or your dick falls off and you get chucked in the fucking garbage? I doesn't know about you, but I prefer to go out with big bangs.
Well, in 2003, a couple of guys got together and made a small random video on Halo. That got over 6 million views. Because of that, Machinima was created, an entire community where people could go online and call each other names, before the official community of going online and calling each other names was born. But on that original going online and calling each other names community, another small random video on Halo was born. That was Arby and the Chief.
What do you suggest we do? This has to be the rudest game of Scrabble ever played.
Lol.
Who knows what can come out of a series when you throw a plot twist into it. The twist in Arby and the Chief is that it's actually good. The two main characters are the Chief, a racist, homophobic, misogynistic lowlife that spends all his time going online calling people names, and the Arbiter, who intellectually is on such a higher level than Chief he almost loses because of it. Debating Chief and being depressed that he has nothing else to do is pretty much it. Oh, and they both play Halo. That's what the comedy boils down to. It's a smart guy with a stupid guy meets a raunchy version of Toy Story. That's most of the joke right there, but damn if it doesn't make it work. This is some mockery of gaming culture, but you don't need to be too into the scene to get the joke. They do a good job of explaining what they're making fun of at the beginning of most episodes. But like I said, it's a smart guy, stupid guy setup. If you like that, you'll find this funny. Or rather you would, if there wasn't the elephant in the room. So let's talk about the voice acting. I love it. I think it gives the show an identity and uniqueness it wouldn't have otherwise. I think it makes sense that Chief sounds like a computer program, like he's been lifted straight from a game server, but to some people, it'll be annoying, and I get that. But it's deadpan taken to the extreme, if that's even possible. What it's going for is to have the most bland voice acting possible in the most stupidest scenario you can come up with at 3 AM. And sooner or later, you gotta find something that's funny. It kinda reminds me of Aqua Teen Hunger Force in that way, only Arby and the Chief is a bit more structured since everything revolves around Halo. So I say watch an episode or two, and if you can tolerate it, it'll grow on you. Speaking of which, for a piece of plastic that plays video games all the time, you actually start to feel for the Arbiter. He starts noticing he isn't doing anything and tries to change it, but he's just a toy. Because of that, he's forced to live with the Chief, and while they never truly get along, their experiences do make them closer together. But all of these experiences that he gets can't distract him from the fact that he feels like he isn't accomplishing anything. I think that's what made it work. Have you ever been so bored that the stupidest things become funny to you? Arby and the Chief did such a good job of putting you in that atmosphere, while also making you realize how sad it can be if that's all you have, then hitting you in the back of the head with something oddly compelling. That whole Toy Story comparison is a little more than skin deep. The nothing lasts forever vibe feels very similar to the one found in Toy Story, only this is more targeted towards young adults. It can be hard to find a job, let alone one you like doing. Any business you go to can feel like a scummy pile of crap, and it doesn't feel like you have much say in it anymore. As these things get harder and harder and feel less and less personal, it can be easy to find ways to get away from it all, aka video games. Something that is personal, so why would you want to go back to that boring job? This isn't the game's fault. It's not the person's fault either. What we need is a teaching system in play that's based on what we want to do. And listen to this about Arby and the Chief. What the banana fucking shit am I even talking about? Remember the episode where all the different Halo series fanboys got stuck on Guardian? Well, remember guys? Who cares which one is better, Arby and the Chief or Red vs. Blue? They're both such radically different shows, you can't compare them just because they're both from the same game. But it was pretty funny seeing him make fun of his own fanbase like that.
Does he know you're alive? Is he fat? Is it true he died in a car crash? contract swine flu?
I love the part where they went to LA, because I always wanted to go to LA as a kid. Not really, but saying that sort of stuff makes your review more personal, and it'll make the audience relate to how you fared at life, or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they went on some pretty stupid journeys, but the music always knew how to keep the mood right, even at the most ridiculous at times. There was no one artist, he just found music that fit in each scenario. All of it's copyrighted, but this was back in the day where you could have a song that you liked and put it in your video. Unlike now! But for no original soundtrack, it's very appropriate. It sets the mood a lot better than if it had a subpar original score. It almost feels like some scenes were created for the music, not the other way around. But as the show went on, it started making its own music. And it's alright. It mainly consists of techno beats. No, not that one. Not that one either. But I do miss that somewhat carefree attitude it used to have. It really was something.
It's a cat from space. Haven't you ever met a space cat before?
During later seasons, the show got a lot darker. You really got the feeling the creator of the show wanted to take it in a more serious direction. A lot of people seem to hate the ending of Arby just because it's sad, but that's why it fit. It was very clear they couldn't keep playing Halo forever. The game soon became boring, but the Arbiter finally started to meet some new people. Some good, some bad. In the end, he did what he thought was best, and because of that, he couldn't be with any of them. But he felt lucky that he did what was right. But that luck ran out. He didn't always do the right thing. And when he didn't have that feeling, he was left with himself. And he was sad. And wasn't this a comedy? Well, yeah. John apparently wanted to end it at Season 3, but had a contract to make more. So instead of going nowhere and reusing the same jokes over and over again, he decided to experiment a little. And it worked out great. Think of what it would have been like to continue going down that same episodic format all the way to Season 4. Yeah, that had to be the worst season of the show. It was still a comedy, but all the jokes were more depressing than funny. It was just bland. Everything it did was done better. Oh, Chief locks him in the closet, but instead of being angry, he's just sad. After that, he needed to do something special, and oh shit, Season 5 was something special. From the beginning, it let you know it was going to be a bit different. In Season 5, he eventually met some new friends and enemies. Which, looking back a few paragraphs, you can tell how that ends up. But first, you had Trent, who was a very interesting character because you could never tell if he was a bad guy or a good guy. That's not a serious statement.
About killing whatever's on screen and advancing to the next area, and that's all they've ever been about. We want to concentrate our efforts and make that principal dynamic as engaging as possible. Besides, I like to think of it as doing these guys a favor, really. Writing's too easy, and I'm forcing them to seek a more challenging form of work.
Then you had Claire, who's a woman in this show, so who gives a shit? It does feel a little bit sexist at times, but I think it was more for laughs. The men are just as stereotypical as the women in this show.
Man, that guy has a death wish.
This'll be a piece of cake.
Dude, all this competition's giving me a major hard-on. I'm gonna go whack off.
Yeah, me too. Wait for me, man. Dude, I bet I'm harder than you right now.
Fuck that, I'm rock solid.
Oh yeah? Prove it.
That's it, we're plugging in our vision cameras.
To me, it's funny, but moving back to Claire, she's alright, but nothing really stands out about her. She feels more like a plot device to make things more personal. Every other human character in the show feels like such a stereotype, like it's its own world. Such a standard character feels weird in this setting. But moving on, we have Greg, who is fucking awesome. Greg is a spider. He can't talk, but makes do with a notepad. Yeah, like a lot of characters in the show, he doesn't really get much screen time to himself, which is a shame because every time he was on screen was a lot of fun. He was always nice, for this show's standards, always tried to do the right thing, and the way he was able to put so much emotion into writing was just cute. like babies, because babies are cute. I really wish some of these characters got a bit more screen time, but I realized that was the point. It was just about 2 characters, and everyone else was a footnote in their story. Anyway, Arby and Chief continue to fight. Arby's best friend is getting married in Halo. Chief continues to quote Dostoevsky.
Well, we ready as spaghetti.
And all is right in the world. Until...
What the fuck? Hey.
Raffle.
We're on proxy chat, relax. Nobody can hear me say that ass on your avatar is as fine as it is in real life. Speaking of, when's the next time you're gonna let me spank it, huh?
So they get some weak fucking hacks. Greg leaves. They crash the wedding. Arby is sad that he ruined his best friend's big day. Greg comes back. Claire pretty much tells him, Greg leaves again, and then some more hacks get into the game, only now they're in use by a clan called Chaos.
To the administration of the online multiplayer network and our fellow subscribers, we are Chaos Theosis.
In all seriousness, the Hostess with the Mostess, only known as Chaos Theosis, was actually a really cool team of villains. They were something you might actually see on the internet, like an anonymous of sorts, only with a target. Their goal? To eliminate the entire Halo network. Their hacks made it so if they killed you in the game, your console would be destroyed, not to mention personal information taken from you. Meanwhile, a different group is made, one with the sole purpose of tracking down and stopping Chaos Theosis, made from the very best and brightest of the Halo community.
Don't worry, the Tossers are here to help. I'm a Tosser, and I work for you.
Tossers are made from the likes of racist Canadian guy.
We're not prepared to make allowances for time to settle in. You either do the job properly, or you don't do it at all.
The Chief.
Freeze, tossers, get down on the fucking ground.
And, oh hey Claire.
Surprise face.
It's not your fault.
The big surprise on why they're doing this is something I won't spoil here, but the season felt a lot grander than the one before it. I still prefer Season 5 for how personal it felt for the characters, but Season 6 was a nice ending. It couldn't have gotten any bigger than this. Greg came back, again, and everyone got back together. This is pretty much the peak of Arby feeling good for himself, and would have been a nice way to end the series. And then, some more hacks get put into the game. Again. Jesus Christ! Season 7 was very depressing, almost to a fault. There's pretty much no humor, and this time the villains are so ridiculously evil, just for the sake of, it's fun, I guess? But these aren't fun stereotypes as much as they are just kind of mean. Where are the parodies of gaming archetypes like everyone in Chaos Theosis? I'm okay with a show making you feel bad, but this just felt like it was manipulating you. Everything that was depressing just felt like plot convenience. They made a big deal out of one of the characters being able to go to a Halo tournament, only for it to end in a dumb and overly depressing way. Why? It did nothing to advance the plot, it was just there to make a bland character seem unlikable. I guess you do see people like this on Halo, but this is all it boils down to. It's okay to do bad things because bad things are done to me. That's it. That's all the motivation we get for why this villain is so evil. And sure, that's true of a lot of people, but come on, do something with it. There's a point where he apparently slips and goes down the deep end, but everything he does from that point is something you could imagine him doing before that happens, so it feels kind of pointless. It just feels like more depressing bullshit. At the end of Season 7, I was ready for the show to end. It was very clear he took his inspiration from things he was a big fan of, like the music in early seasons, or the Halo crossover episode, and you could really tell he was a big fan of Breaking Bad.
What are your favorite TV shows? Breaking Bad.
But Season 7 was just too much. John was going to film school at around the same time, so he couldn't keep up making a web series. Besides, It seems like he was getting tired anyway. So why do I like this show so much? Well, I think it's just a fantastic example of setting the mood. Early seasons are so indicative of what 2008 internet culture was like. This feeling of just having a random idea and putting it online with all its rugged edges and shitty webcaminess. Looking back, that's what I'll remember. The passion of doing something fun. No pursuit of making a job out of it. No worry that Google will make everything for YouTube even worse. Just fun. That's what the early seasons were. Nice, relaxing, fun. But if all you do is have fun, where does that lead? Maybe that's what he was trying to get at. John has worked on a number of projects since he first aired Arby and the Chief. He's been on multiple other videos for Machinima, but has since then said he wants nothing else to do with them. He's been pretty busy attending film school, and hasn't put out many videos in that time, but you've got to check out A Film in You. It's just great. Something he has been doing a lot of is blogging. He mainly talks about cool movie ideas he has, but that's about it. Who knows if he'll ever make a feature-length movie or not, but I'd like to see that someday. He may have not given his video a happy ending, but at least I can with mine. So, until next we meet, all I can say is thanks for watching.